All right, this might be it. This might be where all of you guys hit dislike and unsubscribe from the channel because this is 2 out of the 3 shows now that I just didn't like all that much. Today we're talking about Loki. The series about Loki, but not the Loki that we know from the entire MCU, but the Loki from the first Avengers movie, but in Endgame when he got the Tesseract and tried to leave with it because Tony Stark is a damn idiot. Anyway, um, so I'm sure you guys already know the plot of the show. This is going to be very spoiler heavy. I'm not going to run through the entire plot of the show just to set up this review. We're just going to hop right in. First of all, I think the concept of what Loki is about is very interesting. I think it's fascinating that there's this Bureau of Time, basically from like the Legends of Tomorrow or whatever, but maybe more interesting. I don't know. I don't watch Legends. There's this time bureau that regulates the flow of time, makes sure that things stay under control. I really like concepts like that. Here's my question though: why was this what Loki was about? You know, what is it about Loki that that begs this type of story? You know, it's not like he was doing what he was doing because of the time stone. He was after the space stone this whole time. Then he used it, and now here we are. And by the way, how are the Avengers not in trouble? You know, everyone's like, they answered it in the show. Yeah. Judge Renslayer said that what the Avengers did was supposed to happen. Sure, totally fine. But here's the thing. If Tony Stark wasn't a dumbass and got knocked out damn near by the Hulk, then the Tesseract wouldn't have ended up in Loki's hands. So it's just as much the Avengers' fault as it is Loki's. So at least Tony Stark should be in trouble too. But oh no, he died. They snatched up Loki like immediately after he used the Tesseract, right? Why didn't they get Tony Stark before he went back to the present? Anyway, into the actual show. So the whole thing is Loki has become a variant, and they're using him to track another variant version of Loki. This one's a female. This one is named Sylvie. And from there, I was like, in what way does the timeline have to branch in order for Loki to have been born a woman? I know that Loki can shapeshift. I know he can be a woman if he wants to. Maybe if that's just what this timeline point version of Loki preferred to do, then that's that. But as far as we know, Loki never went through a phase where he just wanted to be a woman. So I'm pretty sure that this Loki was born female, right? And so I was thinking immediately, I was like, this can't just be timelines, right? This has to be a multiverse. There's no way that this is just timelines. And we'll come back to that point later on. But it became more certain to me when I saw all the other Lokis that were at the end of time. I was just like, yeah, no. This is a multiverse. There's just no way. But if it is a multiverse, right? How come all of them getting pruned sends them to the end of time at the same time, like on the same timeline? That I still don't understand. And if we are dealing with the multiverse here, which we seem to be, I'm pretty sure that's exactly what they said in the final episode. We're dealing with a multiverse and a timeline. Do you do you consolidate all the universes into a single timeline, or is there one sacred timeline per universe? I would like to understand that a bit better. You basically have a 47-minute long exposition episode for a finale, and I still don't get it. There is so much that's still kind of just in the balance, you know? But again, we'll get to that. I want to talk about Loki and Sylvie, right? I I did not honestly think that there was any organic chemistry between those two characters outside of the fact that they're the same person. Um, I mean, if you're a textbook narcissist, then I'm sure you would be attracted to yourself. But I felt the same towards them that I felt towards Rey and Kylo Ren, which is the only reason that these two characters are going to hook up or get together or kiss or whatever is because the fans will riot if it doesn't happen. I didn't see anything between them that actually led to... Okay, right? Shortly after meeting each other, they try to kill each other like 17 times each. And then a little bit after that, Loki gets drunk and dooms their only way off of the moon that they were on that was going to get crashed into by a planet. Which, if you ask me, that should be the other way around. I don't think planets really move like that. Moons maybe, but not planets. um, so it's like Loki got drunk, did something stupid, and now they're stuck on this moon about to die. And Sylvie's like, "Oh, Loki, you're just so dreamy and attractive." I'm like, "What the? You should be very upset with him right now. It's his fault that you missed the rocket, or it's his fault that you got kicked off the train in the first place. Whatever." Anyway, um, this show suffers like the opposite problem as of the Netflix Marvel shows, in that the pacing moves incredibly fast. Like when you realize that Loki was wearing the same clothes for 5 out of the 6 episodes, it's like, oh shit, yeah, maybe the pacing is has a bit of a problem, because as far as Loki is concerned, all of this happened over the course of like 2, maybe 3 days, just maybe 3 days. That is a lot to have happen all at once. And I find it hard to believe that of all the variants that they've gone after, because Mobius talks about they've gone after like Kree and all types of other people. I find it strange to believe that Loki plus another Loki were enough to completely dismantle the foundations of the TVA and get to Kang the Conqueror. We'll talk about Kang the Conqueror more here in a bit. It's so strange to me. Like I never like stories like this where it's like all of this stuff could have happened to anyone, but it just so happened that this character showed up and now all of this stuff was going on. Was nobody as inquisitive? Was no other variant over the course of history brought in to check down another variant of that same person? And it's not like the secrets were very well hidden, you know? Another thing, right? The reason that the agents of the TVA started getting suspicious is because Sylvie enchanted them and showed them memories of their past, which is how they all find out that they're variants or whatever, because word spread, Loki, blah, blah, blah. Our Loki can do that too. He did it in Thor Ragnarok, and I highly doubt that that was the first time he ever showed somebody their memories, because he did it as if he was sure that it was going to work. So that may have been the first time that we saw him do that, but it was not the first time that he did it. So I don't know why this Loki never thought about doing that, especially after finding out that the TVA was lying to the agents. Like, oh, let me show Mobius his old life. Did that never occur to him? Beyond that, though, this show plays with a lot of very heavy themes, and these themes are apparently going to have huge ripple effects across the MCU moving forward, or I guess we should call it the Marvel Cinematic Multiverse now. But it all unfolds so fast, especially because 2 out of the 6 episodes of Loki have damn near nothing worth anything happening in them. You know, I also don't really like that this Loki gets a fast track to developing as much as the previous Loki did. I wanted to have just our regular evil Loki. I didn't want him to like, oh, I'm watching my life and now I'm pretty much up to speed and I'm roughly the same type of character that version of Loki was. And I'm willing to give my life and sacrifice myself to protect others. It's just like, why? Why can't villains just be villains anymore? It's getting to the point with Marvel now where no matter how heinous or dastardly the actions of this villain are, it's justifiable because of their past, or it's justifiable because they're just lashing out for attention, or deep down they all want to be good. It's like, it does not have to be like that. Loki is also called the god of evil in the Marvel comics, not just the god of mischief. I just want an evil version of a character, and I think an evil Loki could carry a show just fine if it's not about timelines and multiverses and shit like that. And I understand the point of the whole, like, oh, people use the Infinity Stones as paperweights there. It's to show that in the grand scheme of things, this thing that Loki had devoted himself to over these last however many years, like the method by which he wanted to conquer the 9 realms, was basically pointless because there's still power beyond that, right? Totally fine. I get it. I don't care about that. But it's just, I feel like you don't need to keep tearing Loki down to build him back up. There's other ways to develop him into a more interesting character. Or you could just leave him as he was in the first Avengers movie. I think that was when he was at his best. But, you know, you have to redeem everybody. And I personally, I just don't think that every villain needs to be redeemed. Like after Taskmaster and Ghost, I just I'm over it, you know? I'm over it. Anyway, let's talk for a while about the finale, right? As soon as Kang showed up, I recognized him because he was wearing green and purple. Those are Kang's colors. And then, like, the more he talks about, like, the origin of the TVA and, like, the alternate versions of himself, the less I understood. Um, because I'm like, well, A, how have you been alive so long? Maybe in the 31st century, they figured out immortality. B, if pretty much every Kang across the multiverse discovered that they could communicate across other universes at around the same time, then how come the multiversal war didn't start immediately? Because if you have a Kang that is bent on war, that's not something that you'll just develop, right? That's something that will be in you always, right? If you seek chaos, you'll pretty much always be seeking chaos. It's not just going to spawn in you one day, right? So it's strange to me that it even took time for this multiversal war to break out. Also, when did this multiversal war happen? Was it thousands of years ago? Because I feel like somebody should have been aware of it. Maybe somebody like Heimdall or Odin, you know? Also, how is it that this version of Kang in this timeline guarding the flow of time in his universe is preventing multiversal war from breaking out? They didn't really they gloss over these explanations. It's like, oh, I established a TVA, so the war stopped. It's like, what? Why not just kill those other versions of Kang? That way that won't happen. Because it's like, oh, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. The war will break out again, and then another version of me will reestablish the TVA, and we'll be right back where we are. It's like, okay. That's cool and everything, but what? And I don't get me wrong, I did not dislike this version of Kang at all, especially because we're still going to get proper Kang. But it's also very funny to me that he's like, oh, I knew what was going to happen up to a certain point, and that point just so happened to be while he was talking to the Lokis. Now, you could explain it away by saying, basically, like, critical mass was reached when those two Lokis got to Kang. And that was always going to happen, and that was where his ability to see the timeline ended, right? But why is it right then that the timeline started to splinter off in so many places? Is it because it's right then that he stopped caring about what the TVA does? Or why isn't the timeline always branching? Or if it is, and they're snipping all the branches, why? I don't know. What is it about Kang not being able to see the future anymore that causes the timeline to just start shattering like that? That's what I'm trying to understand. I hope that somebody out there that's watching understands what I mean by that question. Also, what what would even be the point of offering to the Lokis the chance to rule the timeline or like control the TVA or whatever? Why is this a Loki story? And then this whole multiversal war thing is going to happen. Where is that going to take effect? Is it going to be in Doctor Strange? It seems like it, because that movie is called In the Multiverse of Madness. Is it going to be in Thor? Is it going to be strictly saved for Loki season 2? Is it going to be part of Ant-Man 3? Is it just going to be saved for the next Avengers movie? It's hard to try to visualize where these effects are going to take place. Don't you fucking talk to me about Spider-Man No Way Home. Don't even fix your fingers to type Spider-Man No Way Home in my comments. You might get banned. Anyway, I don't know. I respect the gravity that this show seems like it's going to have moving forward in the MCU, but it is hard to say that the show was exceptionally well written, and it's also hard to say for me that I'm excited to see where these aspects and these elements and these ideas go, because I'm just really not. And that's unfortunate. I really want to be. I want to be as hyped for what's happening next as a lot of you guys out there are, but I'm just not. Couldn't tell you why. I just overall didn't think that Loki was just. I don't know, man. I also didn't really feel like Loki himself, like our Loki, had that much agency in the plot of the show. Like, well, obviously that's the point, right? He's a variant. He's a small speck in the grand scheme of things, but like, he doesn't feel like the protagonist. It feels more like it's Sylvie, because Loki couldn't do a damn thing on his own the whole show. The only thing that he did on his own was figure out where Sylvie was hiding in the timeline, and figure out that she was waiting in like apocalypses, which, sure, that's how he found her. But after that, he completely stopped having control over what was going on in the show. He was a very passive protagonist, and I don't like that. I don't like when, if the show or movie or game is named after someone, that someone should probably be the one that makes things happen, right? But no, it was pretty much always Sylvie would do something and Loki would just have to go with it somehow. Because sure, right? He wanted to kill Eliath, but he didn't have a plan at all. If it were not for Sylvie, he would have never escaped the void. Like, it's just, I don't know, it's just lame to me when the characters don't do much for themselves. Anyway, that's what I thought of Loki. Also, score, fantastic. The score was amazing. I'm not going to sit up and say that it wasn't, because it was. But that and the performances and like production design, those were pretty much the best elements of the show. I don't know. I like when stories feel like they fit the character that they're about, which is why I kind of struggle with Spider-Man Homecoming. But a lot of you guys think I'm stupid, right? I don't care. I'm prepared for it. But I just want you to consider some of the things I've said, and maybe we'll come to understand each other. All that being said, though, subscribe, follow me on Twitch, buy some merch or something, join the channel, or listen to my music. Whatever way you feel like putting money in my pocket totally works for me. See you soon.